Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about how my life changed when I was diagnosed with kidney disease. We're going to talk about the physical aspects as well as the emotional aspects, what I was thinking, where my mind was at the time, and also when I was diagnosed with end-stage kidney disease. So if you are interested, then definitely keep on watching. But before we continue, I want to quickly introduce myself for anybody that is new here. My name is Cindy Flores, and on my channel I share my kidney transplant journey as well as travel vlogs, testimonies, and so much more. So definitely consider subscribing. So when I was first diagnosed, I was 12 years old. And if you are new here and don't know too much about my story, I went into the doctors not because I was having symptoms of any type of like kidney disease, I went in because I had to get a regular physical. In order to play a sport in the city that I lived in, you needed a physical. And I went in and that's when I found out that I was leaking a ton of protein in my urine, and the next day I was scheduled to get a biopsy. So knowing how it was just out of nowhere, at the time I was only 12 years old and I was very young. So when I found out that I had to get the biopsy, I wasn't thinking, like, they told me, oh, it has to do something with your kidneys, like you're obviously getting a kidney biopsy type thing. But I didn't think much. I thought it was something like they were gonna find something that was curable, something quick, that they could just give me a pill and it would be over with. I remember I got my biopsy, and when I got it, I was in the hospital for about 4 days after, waiting for them to get the results. And when I first got diagnosed, I was diagnosed with MPGN. Those are the abbreviations. I'll be writing the name right here so you guys can see. And when I was diagnosed with that, I didn't have the proper knowledge about kidney disease. I didn't ask any questions, didn't ask about my creatinine, my BUN, my GFR, other types of blood levels that that's important to know and important to ask your doctor. And since I was so young, my mom was new to everything as well. We didn't really question anything the doctors would say. We kind of just went with whatever, he said. So when I was in the hospital, I remember it was during school, like I was in middle school at the time, and I thought it was like my little break. Oh, I'm in the hospital, I'm gonna get better. This is just like me here because I have to get this biopsy done, but I'm gonna be fine in like a week or two. And when they told me it was MPGN, I didn't even know anything about it. I didn't even do my research about it, didn't even find out the severity of this disease or anything. I just remember the doctor telling me that I had to go on a whole bunch of medication. And those medications are very similar to the ones that I'm currently taking. I went on a whole bunch of transplant medications. And at the time, my emotional state, I didn't feel anything. I was kind of just living my life, not even worrying about the whole medical aspect. I was just kind of like enjoying life as like a 12-year-old type thing. Like I wasn't in the stage where, oh my goodness, I feel so depressed, I feel this and that, because I didn't feel sick, so I didn't think it was such a big deal. But I do remember when I would cry a lot, my eyes would get very puffy and it would make me think about like the disease at the time. And I remember I'd be like, oh my goodness, like I'm too young to be dealing with puffy eyes or anything even remotely to my kidneys. I do remember thinking that. But it wasn't something that impacted me as much as it did when I found out I was diagnosed with end stage. Also, my physical body didn't change, but it was because I still had a decent GFR. I believe at that time it was probably around 60. I remember even the doctor, he told me that because I asked him about dialysis because I had known it because I think my cousin had just started dialysis at the time. And I remember I asked the doctor, well, do you think I would need dialysis in the future? And he told me, yeah, you'll need dialysis in your late 20s. And I remember when I heard that, I was just like, I'm gonna do everything in my power that I can to not let that happen, because I knew how serious dialysis was, even though with my age being so young. And I remember I changed my diet, and that's like a whole nother story, but I changed my diet completely, and thankfully it was all because of my mom. She was the one that was strict on my diet. She would make me the proper juice blends, would give me like kidney boosters and kidney detox drinks all the time to help maintain the function that I did have. And we saw improvement at the time, and when we saw improvement, we were very happy about it, because my mom was so consistent with my diet, with my juice blends and my detox drinks for about 2 years. And during those 2 years, we would hear very like great results from the doctors, how, you know, there was improvement, this and that. So when I was first diagnosed, honestly, there wasn't too much to it. I didn't know how serious kidney disease was, and I didn't change anything really, only my diet, you know, only that was different, and I felt a complete like shift from it. Now, on the other hand, when I was diagnosed with end stage, that's when it really changed. That's when I was old enough. I was 18, guys. And it's crazy because the doctor told me that I would reach end stage my late 20s, and unfortunately I was reaching them in my late teens. If you guys know a little bit about my medical history or have been here following my journey since the beginning, then you know that I was diagnosed with end stage while I was pregnant, and I had to go on dialysis. So the physical aspect of it, my body wise, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel sick. I had energy and strength to like run and stuff, but I did notice that I was always tired. And the type of tiredness that I was feeling wasn't like, oh, body tired. It was kind of like sleepy tired. Like I always wanted to be sleeping. And it also could have been because I was pregnant at the time. But my physical body didn't feel like dramatic changes, and I didn't notice any dramatic changes, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe I could have been just so used to it that I didn't really, you know, think it was different or strange. But when I was diagnosed with end stage, this time around was very, very tough for me, emotionally speaking, because I knew after end stage, the next step would be dialysis. And that was only going to be my option, to do dialysis or to get a transplant. But at the moment, I wasn't even thinking transplant. I was thinking about the fear of dialysis. And when I was diagnosed, I didn't start treatment right away, guys. I neglected the treatment. I would keep on saying like, no, I didn't want to do it. I feel fine. Until like the doctors were very pushy with me, or like, you need to do it or else you're gonna die and your daughter's gonna die and this and that. So I did end up getting it. I did end up, you know, having the surgery to get the port in and start dialysis. And during that phase of like doing hemodialysis and being pregnant, it was the lowest moment in my life. I always say that, I always remember that. I would constantly be crying. I would just be thinking about stuff. I would have this fear. I would have I felt sorry for myself, guys, honestly. I remember I would look at pictures of myself when I was like a kid, and I would tell myself, man, if only I could go back in time and warn this little girl that she was gonna suffer a lot, that she was gonna go through so many things, so many trials and pain. If only I could go back and warn her. That's how I felt. I felt so horrible and so depressed and so sad and broken. And I was feeling all of this, but during the time of me feeling all of this, there was still always something there that kept me going, and it was always God. And maybe you guys don't want to hear this, but I say it because it's just so amazing to know that everything I've been through, even through my sadness and my depression and my disobedience and everything, God was still there, and He was the one that pulled me out, rescued me from that pain. And He was honestly the push that I needed, because I knew, I was like, you know, I had to fight, because my purpose here on earth is not done. I still had to fulfill my purpose in You, Lord. So just give me the life. And that was something that I held on to my whole time I was going through that trial. I was like, God, I know I have to overcome this because you have many promises for me, and I'm going to choose to hold on to those promises no matter what I'm going through, no matter if I feel like I'm minutes away from death. I know that's a lie because you have given me life and I will live to fulfill your purpose. And I remember I kept speaking the word over my body and over my life, and I kept saying, Lord, I'm just going to trust in you and trust in the process. So yes, I was feeling all of this, but he was the one that was helping me. He was the one that giving me the strength to keep pushing and to keep fighting, because during that time where I'm feeling all these types of emotion, God was there and saying, nope, keep walking. Even if you're like on the floor crawling, keep pushing because you need to reach that finish line. So yes, my emotions were everywhere. My physical body didn't change too much. It did start to change when I started dialysis. When I started dialysis, I started to lose a ton of weight, guys, a ton of weight. I dropped down to, I want to say 118 or something. And guys, I'm like a 5'7" or 5'8", honestly, because I'm like still growing. And 115 is super skinny. Like, it's skinny and it's unhealthy. That's how I was. I was like the unhealthy skinny. Didn't have no strength, didn't have the energy. I was very drained, and I didn't feel like this excessive drain when I was like diagnosed with end stage, if that makes sense. I felt this excessive drain after I started dialysis, and I was doing it 6 days a week at the clinic because I was dialyzing basically for 2 people, which was me and my baby, my daughter, that I was pregnant with. And if you were wondering, if you are new to this channel, wondering what happened with my baby, she's alive, she's healthy, she's actually going to be turning 5 years old this month of August, so I'm super excited for that. And she's another reason why I pushed so hard too, because I knew I needed to live for her. So yeah, those were the emotions that I was feeling. I was feeling pretty broken, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. When you're diagnosed with something as big as this, and you think, I hear a lot of you guys say that you think your life is over. I just want to say it's not over. It's not. This is just the beginning of your process, of your molding process, and you need to allow God to mold you in the proper way. So just keep pushing, because you will get there. You will be the masterpiece that God is trying to mold you to. So yes, guys, that's how I was feeling, both physically and emotionally. Soon I'm going to be making a video for you guys, sharing my sister's emotions and how she was feeling when I was diagnosed and while I was going through the process, because a ton of you guys have asked me, and a lot of you guys that watch my video are not just dialysis patients, but you guys are also relatives of people that are suffering with kidney disease. And it's not easy. When you are diagnosed with kidney disease, it doesn't just affect you, the person that is dealing with, it affects everybody around you, because dialysis takes majority of your time. You have to change diet, there's so much that goes into it that a lot of people don't understand. So she'll be sharing her side of it, how she was feeling. So definitely stay tuned for that. So thank you guys. Have a blessed and beautiful day, and I'll see you on my next video.